In a world where career ambitions often take the front seat, it is so easy to overlook the silent but very powerful foundation of our success, our health, and specifically our mental health. Imagine a career path where your mental health is not just an afterthought, but actually a cornerstone of your success. So, in today's episode of the 12 Days of Career Goals, we're going to dive right into this, into the aspect of prioritizing your mental health. In today's conversation, we're going to explore pivotal moments that highlight the importance of mental health, the interplay between creativity and well-being, and strategies for balancing societal norms with our mental health needs. Our goal today is not just inspire you, but also share some practical tips on how you can prioritize your mental health for a fulfilling career and life. So hello and welcome to the 12 Days of Career Goals. I'm Teresa White, Career Clarity Coach and the founder of Career Bloom. And I am so excited to share with you that Linda Lee will be joining us today. Linda Lee, she is a mental health advocate and she is the founder of Creatively Quiet. She has touched the lives of so many people through her advocacy and leadership, amassing to an impressive following of 531,000 people here on LinkedIn. Her journey is a powerful reminder of the importance of choosing one's own path and the transformative impact of mental health on career and personal development. Linda's philosophy centers around the belief that our work should not just be a source of income, but also a platform for making a meaningful impact. Her dedication to mental wellness, authenticity, and empowering others to find their voice is absolutely inspiring. So I'm super excited to be joined by Linda Lee today. Hi, Linda. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Teresa. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're so welcome. And I also want to give you, say a very, very happy birthday. I know it was your birthday yesterday.
Thank you. Very appreciative.
Anyone here who's already tuning in, drop a happy birthday in there for Linda. Wish her all the best. And I am so glad that we're going to have this conversation today because mental health is so important. Like without our health, we don't have anything. But before we're going to dive into the topic of mental health, I would love to start off with a festive question. And when I looked at your website, which I looked at a couple of times, which is beautiful, but I know you're very creative. What are some of the creative ideas you've had for holidays? Is there something you can inspire with this? Any creative ideas you can share?
Yes, most definitely. So I'm very crafty. Like I love art on the side. So like what I've been doing for friends is like I make fortune cookies. So I make paper origami fortune cookies, and anytime I meet a new person, they get like a origami box, and it's filled with mental health quotes. So it's just something that I do whenever I meet someone new.
That is so beautiful, Linda. Wow, that's the most amazing present, that like the origami and a mental health quote. That is such a beautiful present. I love that.
Yeah, it has a 90% return rate, so they keep me.
I love it. And there's so many happy birthdays coming here through. Tuba, we have here. Say it says happy birthday. Lots and lots of people tuning in today. Tony Shear says happy birthday. Oh, thanks everyone for being here. There's so many. I can't even pull them all into the screen, but we appreciate you for being here and for sending all the best wishes. Let me put this one back out here. Oops, there we go. All right. So for all of you in the audience, I love seeing all the happy birthdays. Also, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you do have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We're going to try to make some time for Q&A in the end and answer questions that you have. And to start it off with, Linda, I would love to hear from some of the moments in your life that led you to prioritize mental health.
Yes, most definitely. So I started struggling with anxiety and depression when I was like 15. And to be really honest with you, like growing up in an Asian like household, like mental health was extremely stigmatized. Like my family like refused to acknowledge it. Like you had to be happy all the time. And if you weren't happy, it meant something was wrong with you. So I got like crippling anxiety and I couldn't function. Like I was just scared to leave the house. And so I went to therapy. And when I went to therapy, like they started to like notice things. It's just like the reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling is because there's no outlet for you to be able to express, because in school, like everyone's like, you have to be happy all the time. Like television at the time, that there wasn't anything on mental health. It's like you had to be happy all the time. And
Yeah.
my family is just like, you have to be happy all the time. And it just felt like I was just breaking apart on the inside because I wasn't allowed to feel. So for me, like I wanted to dive into mental health and be an advocate for it, to show people that like it's okay not to be okay. Like you don't have to be on all the time. Like it's okay for you to have like really bad days, because I feel like when you choose to allow yourself to break down, it's when the breakthrough comes out.
That is so powerful. And thank you for sharing that with us, Linda. I admire it so much that you're spreading the word and that you're truly an advocate for people to say it's okay to not feel okay, and it is okay to feel your feelings. We don't, as you said, we don't have to be okay 100% of the time. No one is, and it's okay. And as I can relate to some of what you shared, because I've been struggling with a lot of anxiety and depression myself, and I didn't have an outlet for it till I started therapy as well. That wasn't until my late 30s.
Yeah.
So I I I admire so much that you're empowering people to start prioritizing that early in their life and not even have to go through so many struggles, and finding an outlet for that much earlier.
Most definitely.
And as the founder of Creatively Quiet, you've already talked about your amazing creativity. But how do you believe creativity and any kind of self-expression can contribute to our mental well-being inside and outside of work?
Yes, most definitely. So for me, like I had a job like about a year or two ago, and I truly lost myself in that job because I made it my life. Like I made it my identity, I made it like everything. Like it was like if I didn't have this job, I had nothing. And what I came to find was when I left that job, I started to be happier and it started to express in different ways. And it's amazing how a job can suck the life out of you. And it can make you from a colorful person to like a gray person in retrospect. But what I've learned from like work is that you need to have a life outside of work. You need to like be able to separate that your job is just something you do 9 to 5, and it's your responsibility to have a life after your 9 to 5. And like people don't understand, like creativity is so different for everyone. Like some of it is like music, some of it is like running, exercise, like playing with your dog, spending time with your kids. Like to be able to be creative is like having different outlets of yourself to be able to like compartmentalize or do different things. And how you choose to show up outside of work is how you choose to show up like in every aspect of your life, like with your family, with your friends, with yourself. Like if you just make your work your life, like no wonder it just bleeds you dry, because like our work is not meant to be like creative. We are the creatives. Like we are what brings creativity into each little aspect that we do.
That is so true. It is not, well, there's creative work, but it's us who are creative.
Yeah.
And if we're depleted and drained, we also don't have, can't be creative inside or outside of work. We can't give our best.
Yeah.
And relate to what you're saying. I was stuck in a job that literally sucked the life out of me for 8 years.
Yeah.
And it's not just affecting you at work while you're there for 40 hours a week, but then it affects you outside of work when you get home from work, and then you have no energy, you have nothing left in you, and then you don't have energy to do any hobbies, meet with people, and you end up sitting on your couch for pretty much any time you're not working.
Yeah.
And that has such a negative spiral of like, okay, you're miserable at work, and then you take that home,
Yeah.
and it sometimes the only way is to get out of that job. That was for me.
Mhm.
But also I love that you're sharing of finding those moments of joy outside of work. How can you express yourself, right? And it's not, creativity is not, you have to be drawing or painting. That's not the only outlet. As you said, it can be so many different things. For me, it's dancing. I love dancing.
Yeah.
And everyone can find something that brings you joy And if that positively impacts your work, or if you can do that at work too, great. But if you can do that outside, that's just as important.
Yeah, to be honest, like sometimes creativity for me is just sitting there and watching Netflix. That is like creative for me. Like I get to pick a show, it makes me laugh. Like that's life after
Yes.
work. It's fine.
And that's great, right? Like I think like doing things that make us laugh is important.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just need that passive. And there's actually a lot of, I mean, you're a huge writer. For me personally, like when I watch something or hear something there, it sparks so many ideas.
Yeah.
So it also is a creative outlet too, if you gain ideas from what we're watching.
Most definitely.
And you mentioned the importance of creating an impact rather than an income. I've read that in previous posts from you on your website as well.
Yeah.
And I really love that philosophy of creating an impact more than an income.
Yeah.
How has that philosophy influenced your approach to mental health, professionally and personally?
Yeah, most definitely. So when I have a lot of people ask me that, to be honest, and they think like, what does an impact mean? And for me, it's how someone feels after they leave with me is the most important thing, because people will never remember like what you do for them. They're going to remember how they made you feel. Most of the time, like I remember how someone made me feel, whether it was happy, like joyful, loved, sad, like I remember it all. And for me, like I want to make someone feel like they are like the most important person in the world when they're with me, when I leave them, whether they're in my life or not. I just want to be remembered as someone who like sparked joy for another person, and to make someone feel seen and heard just as they are instead of trying to change them. Like I feel like that's going to be so much more valuable than an income, because if you really think about it, like when someone dies and like you go to their funeral or you go to their grave or whatever the case is, like no one's going to be like, oh, like they made like hundreds of thousands of dollars, they were like a famous actress or whatever. Like it's more so like, what did that person do for me? Like how did they impact my life, if that makes sense?
Oh, it absolutely makes sense. And it is so much more impactful. Of course, we need to make an income to support our life and
Of
pay our
course.
bills. But as you said, at the end of the day, that is not what people are going to remember about us.
Yeah.
And that I'm yeah, it's just beautiful how you're able to, or how your goal is when you meet with someone, that you want to make them feel seen and heard and accepted for who they are.
Yeah.
That is something we don't have enough of in this world. There is so much judgment. People want to change. People think others need to change. And having a friend or someone in your life who you can come to and they see you, they hear you, and you know you're okay the way you are. And for me, honestly, the first time I ever felt that way was in therapy. It's a feeling that I didn't know before therapy,
Yeah.
of that I can be myself.
Most
And
definitely.
I love that you are giving that to other people.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. I also heard you speaking before about breaking free from societal expectations. And I do think it is a lot of us struggle between kind of adhering to all these societal norms, but then also prioritizing our mental health. What advice do you have for professionals who are struggling with that balance between societal norms and their mental health needs?
Most definitely. I think that what I can just really recommend is that you just find like a safe person and that you can just trust them. Like for me, it's my manager. So like I had to take like a mental health day recently, and because I was struggling, and I'm very open about it. Like I go through like depression, like, and I had to have an honest conversation. I was just like, I can't function this week. Like I'm always the person who meets all their metrics and goals, and no matter what goes on, I don't let it affect me internally. But for some reason, like these past few weeks, it was just like I'm really struggling, and I had to like put aside like the fear that I was going to be judged or shamed. And they were so receptive. They were just like, if you need to take time off to take care of yourself, like we will support you. And I feel like on LinkedIn, there's this like culture shock where it's just like, you can't tell your manager anything personal or they're going to use it against you. Like, you can't say X, Y, and Z. And I agree with that to like an extent. But I feel like a good manager, a good leader should support you. And you like, they should expect you not to be like meeting your goals or metrics all the time. Like they should be able to cultivate a culture or like a safe space where it's just like, hey, like employee is having like a really bad time, something's affecting their work, to be able to support them and see what I can do to make their life easier at work. So I just feel like societal norms where they're just like, hey, you have to like go to work and be like this person like all the time, but it's like the person that you should be at work is this. Like it's going to be everywhere. Like you're going to have days when you're going to spiral, you're going to have days when you're not your best self, because like for a company to expect you to be like on all the time is just not like a company that I could ever work for, because my manager, like I was very vulnerable with her and she literally like told me like, like it's okay for you not to be like 100% all the time. Like it's okay. And I kept apologizing and she's like, stop saying sorry. Like it's okay.
Your manager is really an inspiration of what good leadership is.
She really is.
Yes, it is. That is, I love hearing that, because what's the point of forcing someone into the office when they're not feeling their best? Because
Yeah.
that is, they don't have the time to take care of themselves and recover, and they can't do their best work. So we should normalize that everyone is going to need a mental health day every now and then. And I think I've had days where I was so depressed or was struggling with mental health where I just couldn't work that day.
Yeah.
And when we are sick, right, when we are physically sick, if I have a really bad case of the flu and I have a fever, I can give my best at work. And it's much better for me to go and to lay down in bed and take care of myself for the day till I feel better and then go back to work. And I do really strongly believe that that should be the same for our mental health. If I struggle with depression, anxiety, any of those, it shouldn't be a stigma or make you feel like that something's wrong with you. It's like, no, I am struggling with this. I need to take care of myself.
Yeah, because like being sick is not just physical. Like being sick is also mental. Like sometimes when I don't feel good, like and I tell someone like I really don't feel good today, it's more emotional than it ever is physical.
Yeah. And there is, so they don't, we talked about this before, you can't really separate the two, because
Yeah.
when we're mentally not feeling healthy, that can affect us in physical forms. And also sometimes when you're feeling physically not healthy, it can affect us mentally. And it should not be a taboo to ask your manager for a mental health day. And no manager should ever deny that for an employee.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes. It is. Yeah. I wish that would just be a standard across all companies, that you are allowed to take care of yourself, your health, your mental health. And if you need that time, we support you in doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
And what really gets to me is when, especially when you vocalize that you like, I am struggling with depression, anxiety, if then there's an attitude of like, oh, well, just get over it. It's like, if I could get over it, I would, I promise you.
Yeah, very uneducated response.
Exactly. And saying uneducated, I do think there is just a lot of education missing in leadership development, probably to where leaders understand the mental health needs of their employees.
Yeah, most definitely. I just think like there needs to be like training on that, because like there's so many companies where they're like, oh, we support mental health, but it's just like an HR thing, but there's no action behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like writing on your value wall or on your website that you support mental health means nothing unless you actually live those values. And yes. And leaders, as you said, leaders need to be trained on it so they understand. Everyone seems to understand physical health, but
Yeah.
a lot of people just don't have that awareness around mental health and how much it affects people.
Yeah, most definitely.
I also know that you advocate a lot for introverts. What specific challenges do you see introverts facing when prioritizing their mental health? And do you have any tips of how they can overcome these?
Yeah, most definitely. Like the first time like I really experienced what it was like to be introverted in the workplace was when I when I work, I need silence. Like I can't have people like being noisy or like loud, and because it messes with me. And I never forgot when I had to work in office at an old company, I would go and hide in one of the like offices in the back and I would work because it was quiet. And one of the managers like literally like had someone like come get me and said, you need to be sitting in like the center. And I was just like, why do I have to do that if I'm meeting all my goals? And they're like, because you need to learn to adapt to the energy in the room. You need to be able to interact with your teammates. And I'm like, my teammates are throwing footballs at each other and blasting music, and I can't hear myself on the phone with my candidates. So that was like the first time. And then there were like leaderships where they're like, hey, you can't be promoted because you're not loud, you know, like you can't lead because you're too quiet. Or like when I was on the phone in like the center of the office and I was making calls and like I would get coached and they're just like, you know, like you're too quiet, like when you're talking with a candidate, like this is how you should talk, you should be loud, you should be like assertive. And I was just like, I was number one on the leaderboard every single week. Like I met my goals every single week. I hit every metric. And I'm just like, who are you to give me feedback when you haven't met it once in the 3 years that you've been here? So like that's when I really learned what it was, the challenges to be an introvert in the workplace. Cause I'm just like, it just was not made for introverted people. It was made for extroverts. And I was just,
Mhm.
you know, like sometimes when I hear loud people talk and I'm just like, it's like no one ever tells you to shut up. You know, it's like you've never been told just to shut up at any point. Like like do you even hear yourself speak when you're loud? Like just because you're loud, it doesn't make you a leader and it doesn't make your point come across any clearer. So and now like that I'm at my new job, like I'm super introverted. Like when I work, like and my manager, like when they interviewed me, like later on, there's like, yeah, we could tell, but you had the best responses to the interview because you took your time to respond. Yeah, you're introverted, but like we don't you're not obligated to have your camera on in meetings. Like you don't have to go to team events if you don't want to. It's your choice. But it's like you meet all your goals, like you lead when you need to, like we trust you with your work. Like it doesn't matter that I'm introverted. Like I still have different strengths to bring to the table and it's like it's not a weakness. Like it was a weakness in the old environment because they didn't see it as a strength. But with a company who's very adaptive and a company who wants you to like add to the culture instead of like trying to fit you into a certain mold, like they amplify you. They allow you to like see your weaknesses as a strength instead of just like labeling that something is wrong with you. Like they make the culture able to adapt to you versus you having to adapt to it.
I really love hearing from you both the two completely different experiences you had in two companies. And I hope that is a big inspiration for the audience who's listening in to, if they are in an environment that doesn't accept them for who they are, that it is possible to find something different. And as you said, can you please tell extroverts, like just as many times as you tell an introvert to be louder or speak up more, can
Yeah.
you tell the extroverts just as many times to be more quiet and think a little bit more before they speak? Because that's truly where the power of the introverts comes in, that they are deep thinkers and they think before they speak. And what they say is often a lot more thoughtful than the people who just are loud. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with either side, right? But seeing the strengths in both is what we really need to do.
Yeah, most definitely. There is strength and there's balance in both, but it's just like there's nothing wrong if you're not one or you're not the other. Like there's room for leaders to be both.
Oh, absolutely. There's room for all of us. And being quiet has nothing to do with the ability to lead a team.
No,
Absolutely nothing. That is not a requirement to be a leader in the company or
like I'm very quiet and I'm very nice, but it's like if I need to be assertive, I will be assertive. Like if I need to get my point across, I will. It's just like I just don't feel the need to speak all the time. Like I just like to observe and then when I'm ready to speak, I will.
and the quality of observing and listening is such an important quality that I would be looking for in hiring someone. I would want someone who is thoughtful and listens and observes. And it's sad to hear about your first experience where that wasn't valued at all. And I very much relate to, I can only work when I'm in a completely quiet space. I need that quiet. And I worked in an open office for a little while, and
Yeah.
it was I was dreading every second in there because it was not an environment in which I could do my best work.
Yeah, most definitely. I really just agree that like you should be allowed to work in the environment that suits best. Like if I want to just be alone, like, and if I meet all my metrics, like why do
Exactly.
I need to be around you?
If you're meeting your goals and you're meeting your metrics,
Yeah.
that is what you were hired for. You weren't hired to be social and to throw footballs at each other. I've
Yeah.
been in an environment like that too.
Yeah.
That's not why they hired you, right? I mean, unless you're a football player.
Yeah.
Um, so allowing employees to work in the environment and where they can do their best work instead of forcing them into some kind of mold that doesn't fit them and just makes them unhappy is something we is so needed.
Most definitely.
And Linda, in your journey to inspire others, what have you found to be some of the most effective ways to encourage people to prioritize their mental health?
Yeah, most definitely. Like therapy, life changing. Like I feel like I cannot express this enough. You should go to therapy when you're healthy. Like you should
Yeah.
not go to therapy when you're spiraling, because I learned that like I went to therapy when I was hitting rock bottom, and it was so hard for a therapist to like get me out of that, because it's like anything that they would say, it's just like my mind was like this and I just couldn't like take in what they were saying. But now I go to therapy when life is good. So that way, like, I have the tools, I have the resources, the introspection, the reflection to be able to support myself when disaster happens. Like, I just cannot express it enough. Like, go to therapy when there's nothing wrong, you know?
Yes.
Um, and then surrounding yourself with like people who have like positive energy and who allow you to show up fully as yourself. Like I keep a very small circle, and like anyone that knows me knows that I struggle with mental health. And I'm just like, look, some days I'm gonna like call you. Maybe I'll be crying and I'll just won't have a good day. But they allow me. They're just like, we want you to be your entire self, because like how can you possibly heal if you're not around people who don't allow you to show up in every aspect of your life? Because it's just like if you're spiraling, you need to be able to let that out instead of like drowning on the inside. Like there are people who are going to be lifeboats for you if you just allow them to. And if they're not the right people for you. And honestly, doing nothing sometimes. Like for me, like the days where I get to do absolutely nothing are the days that I feel like I'm so healed and I can reset and feel fulfilled. Like I know like there's nothing wrong with like feeling like you have to live your best life every day, but my best life is when I get to do nothing. Like, and last but not least, it's just like just take care of yourself in whatever way like you feel is best. Like if you want to like run, if you want to like eat like junk food or whatever, like just do what makes you happiest. Like you don't need to fit into anyone else's mold or structure or lifestyle. You want to wake up at like noon that day, wake up at noon. Like who needs to wake up at 5 in the morning and go and post about it? Like that's just ridiculous to me. Like just do what makes you happy. Like there's no one size fits all. You're just right where you are. And it's just like, do what you need to take care of yourself as long as it's like right for you.
Thank you for saying that, Linda, that you don't have to get up at 5 and post about all the amazing things you do at 5, because I'm definitely not getting up at 5. I'm getting up at 7 because my kids get me out of bed. But
Yeah.
like, and that was really great what you're saying, because for me, like the best thing I can do for my mental health is sleep in once a week.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, when my husband takes the kids for 2 hours and I can sleep, or sometimes I sleep till 11 on Saturdays, but it is truly the best thing I can do for my mental health. I don't get to do it every weekend, but when I do it, I feel so much better. And being allowed to do that and not be like, oh, you're lazy for doing that. No, you're taking care of yourself. And
Yeah, there's no such thing as lazy if you want
no.
to.
And I 100% echo what you said about therapy, finding the right therapist
Yeah.
and going to therapy, not just when something is really, really wrong and when you're hitting rock bottom, but having that support is life changing. Like nothing has changed my life as much as my therapist.
Yeah.
She was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Yeah. And if it inspires anyone, it took me 15 therapists to be able to find the right one. Like it took me a year. Like I went through 15 different therapists, consultations before I found the one. And I've been with them for 6 years now. Like you just have to like be open-minded. And it's just like with like dating or a job, like it takes a few tries. Like don't
Yeah.
give up. I have friends who are just like, oh, I tried one time, I can't find a good therapist. I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
No. I love how you say it's like dating. It truly is, because it is a person, your therapist is a person you have to, you're going to be very close with, and like you're sharing a lot of emotional, and you're being very vulnerable. And if you don't feel comfortable with the person, you have to keep searching till you find the right one.
Most
I
definitely.
was incredibly lucky to get matched, or my health insurance set me up with a therapist who has been so incredibly amazing.
Yeah.
Like I still like count my lucky stars of like, how did I get so lucky with her?
Yeah.
But if you aren't that lucky on the first try, as you said, it took you 15 times, and your mental health is worth it. Your mental health is so worth it to go through 15 consultations till you find the therapist that is the right one for you.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you, Linda, for sharing so much incredible inspiration and advice with all of us. There are so many questions in the chat that I actually don't even know where to start. But I'm going to pull in a couple of here. Go to therapy when life is good. Yes, it will never be a waste of time. Therapy and good relations are a key to mental health. I would love for everyone here in the audience to drop their key takeaways in the chat so that we can share that here with everyone. Thank you all. I appreciate this opportunity to hear vulnerable information. We appreciate you being here. When I meet someone, I'm usually an introvert, but little by little, they get to know me more and I get extroverted. And that was beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my God, there are so many. The stigma attached to vulnerability is what can make us so sick. True, that is very true. Yes.
That's beautiful.
We could go on and on and on, and I'll reply back to comments after this. How can people get in touch with you, Linda, if they want to learn more from you, if they want to follow your journey?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can follow me on LinkedIn. I have a website, Creatively Quiet. There's a newsletter on there, and then I do consultations to help people grow their LinkedIn. So if you can fill the form, and if we're a match, we'll get in touch. But yeah, that's pretty much the 3 ways to get in touch with me.
That is amazing. I mean, Linda if there's anyone in this world who is not following Linda on LinkedIn yet, you definitely have to do this now. You're my favorite post of the day. Like it's
Thank you.
so much inspiration, so much positivity, and breaking those taboos about mental health. And I appreciate that so much that you are sharing that with the world.
I appreciate you, and thank you for this talk. It was so great. I really appreciate it. Like, mental health is so amazing. So, like, just remember, your mental health is your wealth, your health, your everything. So just take care of yourself.
I love that. Yes, it is really, without your mental health, you have nothing. So take care of yourself. Thank you, Linda, for being here with us. I hope that you're going to have a beautiful holiday time. Enjoy the holidays. Do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, you too.
And thank you again for being here with us here today.
All right. Take care, everyone.
You too. Wasn't that just absolutely incredible to have Linda here and share with us her insights and her experience surrounding mental health? I took so much away from this conversation, and looking at the chat, I know so did you. Not stigmatizing mental health, but talking about it openly is very important. And that was the goal for today, to give everyone an outlet to express yourself and to know that it's okay when you're not okay. We can't always be okay, and that is okay. And I absolutely love that Linda advocates for therapy, because it is life-changing. And I hope it inspired someone to take that step and look into maybe finding a therapist who can help you when you're well as well as when you're not well. And also, when we talked about being in a job that sucks the life out of you, and when you're usually a colorful person, that job can make you turn into a gray person. That was such a good visual Linda shared of how much our job can affect us as a whole person and our mental health, and how important it is to take steps to find ways that we can become that colorful person again. Maybe for some of it is speaking up at work for what we need. Maybe for some of it is changing jobs. Maybe for some of it is finding outlets outside of work where we can have moments of joy and express ourselves creatively. be surrounded by the right people that support us and allow us to be who we are and who see us and value us for the person that we are. And this was day 11 of the 12 days of Christmas. I am so grateful for all of you tuning in here. I want to remind everyone that we still have one more day tomorrow. Tomorrow is the grand finale, and tomorrow we're going to be raffling off these amazing prizes. I'm giving away the Ultimate Resume Upgrade. It is a huge prize. I've never done something this big before, but I felt such a big calling to give back this holiday season. And that's why the 12 Days of Career Goals came to be. And that's why I'm giving away so many prizes. So register on bit.ly 12 Days of Career Goals, and you are in to win the Ultimate Resume Upgrade. I'm also giving away a one-on-one deep dive coaching session. I'm a career clarity coach, and I'm so passionate about helping others find their ideal career and getting clarity on what that looks like. And the one-on-one deep dive coaching session is exactly what we'll do together. I'm giving away a standout LinkedIn profile. I love LinkedIn, and I love making people shine on LinkedIn and really expressing who they are and showcasing their personal brand. And that is what you can win with a complete new LinkedIn profile. And last but not least, the Ultimate Transferable Skills Guide. I'm giving 5 of those away. It is a guide that really breaks it down in easy steps so that within 10 minutes, you can identify which transferable skills you have and you can leverage when making a career change. And it's identifying not just the skills that you have, but the ones that actually energize you and that motivate you and that you want to leverage for a career change. So all of those we're going to give away live tomorrow. Make sure that you are registered on bit.ly /days, 12 Days of Career Goals. You can also scan the QR code right up here or right down here and get right to the website and be entered into the drawing. And then I hope to see you all back here tomorrow when we're having day 12, and we're going to be joined by that career coach, Kendall Berg, and we're going to be talking about reflecting and celebrating our achievements. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Stay inspired, keep prioritizing your mental health, and I will see you tomorrow in the final session.